In an unprecedented twist in American governance, one that historians will undoubtedly label the bargaining, former President Donald Trump has filed an official request with the United States Supreme Court asking them to grant access to the nation's Social Security database, to a meme. Not just any meme, mind you, but the one and only Shiba Inu-inspired figurehead of Dogecoin, now hilariously and horrifyingly repurposed into what Trump is calling the Department of Government Efficiency, or, naturally, Doge. Yes, you heard correctly. The same adorable canine that was once just a symbol of internet absurdity and speculative crypto hype is now potentially in line to guard, or invade, the most sensitive data of over 330 million Americans. All thanks to Trump, Musk, and the unwavering spirit of irony that fuels modern democracy. When pressed by reporters about the rationale behind his request, Trump elaborated with what many are now calling the canine doctrine. In a Mar-a-Lago press conference held on a giant tennis court repurposed into a red, white, and blue dog park, Trump declared, "Look, folks, humans have had their shot. Bureaucracy is slow. People lie. But dogs? Dogs are loyal. Dogs are winners. Doge is a patriot." He went on to argue that Doge's track record was already better than several former members of his administration, adding, "At least the dog hasn't written a tell-all book yet." He then produced what he called a top-secret biscuit briefing, consisting of a milk bone wrapped in a napkin with "No fraud" scribbled in Sharpie. Asked whether entrusting sensitive data to a digital dog might seem irresponsible, Trump replied, "Irresponsible is what they said when I suggested bleach. Now we're talking blockchain and barks, and suddenly I'm a radical again." The press conference concluded with Trump tossing a frisbee labeled "National Security" into a crowd of cheering supporters wearing "Make America Wag Again" hats. Political analysts remain divided on whether this move reflects deep cynicism, performance art, or a genuine belief that canine-based governance might actually outperform Congress. But one thing is certain, the former president has once again redefined the limits of political theater, and he's done it with a leash in one hand and a bowl of taxpayer kibble in the other. To understand how we arrived at the precipice of this bureaucratic fever dream, we must first explore the origin story of Doge, not the coin, but the agency. According to insiders close to the Trump post-presidency circle, which includes a Mar-a-Lago bartender and one guy who swears he saw Trump whispering into a Furby, Doge was conceived during a golf game with Elon Musk and Kanye West. Allegedly, after a particularly strong gin and tonic, Trump slammed his 9-iron into the turf and exclaimed, "We need less government, more Doge." Elon Musk, never one to miss an opportunity to gamify existential threats, took it seriously. Within days, he had registered Doge.gov as a federal initiative. The mission? To maximize efficiency in all areas of governance using AI, blockchain, and good boy protocols. Critics immediately questioned the legitimacy of this mission. Supporters, meanwhile, asked, "Have you seen how fast a Shiba Inu runs when you say walkies? That's efficiency." Congress, surprisingly, did not immediately shut the idea down. In a bipartisan moment of confusion and possibly indigestion, a non-binding resolution was passed acknowledging Doge as an experimental initiative under the Federal Bureau of Alternate Realities and Ludicrous Tech, FBARLT, a department created during the brief but chaotic era when Congress let ChatGPT draft legislation. Doge's first actions included deploying robot dog interns to DMV offices and using Twitter polls to determine tax brackets. The results were, as one might expect, deeply chaotic. Yet somehow, the agency survived budget season and even received a ceremonial golden leash from the Pentagon for innovative use of non-human resources. Now, in a move that even The Onion would find heavy-handed, Trump is demanding that Doge be given full access to Social Security records. His official statement reads, "If we want to fix fraud, we must let the dog sniff the data." The case, formally titled Trump versus Privacy, pits constitutional scholars against crypto evangelists, retired judges against Twitter influencers, and in one surreal amicus brief, the ghost of Benjamin Franklin against a hologram of Musk. During initial hearings, Justice Sonia Sotomayor reportedly asked, "Are we really considering giving a dog access to national databases?" To which Trump's legal team replied, "Your Honor, he's not just a dog. He's a brand." Elon Musk, when called to testify, arrived via a Tesla Cybertruck that crashed through the courthouse steps, emerging with a flamethrower and a slide deck labeled Free Data 2.0. In a now viral moment, he told the justices, "We don't break the rules. We reinvent the framework of reality." Public reaction has been polarized, to put it mildly. Libertarians praised the idea as the final form of decentralization, while AARP called it an intergenerational data heist. Meanwhile, a group of Gen Z TikTokers launched a challenge titled #LetTheDogSeeIt, in which users dress as government files and attempt to evade a CGI Shiba Inu. Musk, ever the futurist megalomaniac hybrid, has vigorously defended the proposal. In a lengthy thread on X, formerly Twitter, now simply represented by a pulsating hexagon, he explained, "Doge doesn't want your data. Doge wants your inefficiencies. By granting access to social security records, we can identify optimization gaps, fraud clusters, and latent memes that may revolutionize welfare." He also noted that Doge had recently passed the bar exam using GPT-6 and had been certified by an online university headquartered in the metaverse. Though legal analysts noted that said university was actually a Roblox server moderated by a 12-year-old from Ohio. In a later live stream, Musk demoed Doge's capabilities by feeding it 10,000 anonymized files. Within seconds, the Shiba avatar barked once, spun in a circle, and flagged 147 suspicious disability claims. While this was impressive, it later emerged that Doge had also flagged the Gettysburg Address as potentially fraudulent. Despite the glaring bugs, Musk insists the technology is 99.97% patriotic and twice as trustworthy as traditional bureaucracy because it wags, not lies. Reactions from the public have ranged from outright panic to fanatical devotion. In Florida, protesters have begun wearing tinfoil dog ears and chanting "Data for Doge" outside courthouses. In Oregon, a commune declared itself a Doge sanctuary state, replacing all human decision-making with randomized barks played over loudspeakers. Civil liberties organizations are less amused. The Electronic Frontier Foundation released a 300-page rebuttal titled "Good Boys, Bad Precedents," warning that allowing a crypto-themed AI pet access to federal records sets a dangerous, if adorable, precedent. Meanwhile, conspiracy theorists have gone into overdrive, claiming Doge is actually the reincarnation of the NSA's most rogue algorithm, now housed in a collar made of quantum code. Alex Jones, broadcasting live from a bunker, declared, "First it sniffs data. Then it sniffs your soul." In contrast, a growing subreddit r/Dogeministration is already drafting potential Doge-led policies, including replacing income tax with belly rubs and using squeaky toys to settle minor legal disputes. The shockwaves of Dogegate have reached far beyond American borders. In the UK, Parliament held an emergency debate titled, "The Ethics of Data Sharing with Animated Canines." Prime Minister Keir Starmer was quoted saying, "If the Americans fall to the dogs, who's to say we won't be next?" China's state media warned that this is proof the West has finally, fully gamified its decline, while also quietly rolling out their own pilot project featuring a surveillance panda with blockchain integration. Meanwhile, France has refused to comment officially, though insiders report President Macron is considering appointing a baguette-wielding AI cat to counterbalance Doge's influence. At the United Nations, a motion to classify Doge as an experimental semi-sovereign entity was narrowly defeated, though the General Assembly has approved a resolution to monitor all quadruped AI actors with cross-border data access. The resolution was co-sponsored by Canada, Germany, and, for reasons unknown, the Vatican. Crypto markets responded in kind. Dogecoin surged 420%, then crashed after someone noticed it was actually just a JPEG with attitude. Still, the world watches closely, both amused and afraid, wondering whether America's barking bureaucracy will inspire similar technozoological revolutions elsewhere. As the legal case approaches a climax, one cannot help but ask, have we crossed a line, or opened a door? A door operated by a paw print scanner and secured with biometric woofs. If Doge is granted access, it won't stop at social security data. Next on the docket, medical records, voting behavior, and perhaps the nation's Netflix history, because no true reform can happen without understanding why so many Americans watch Tiger King twice. Trump has hinted at Phase 2, renaming the IRS to BARC, Bureau of Automated Refund K-9s, and replacing TSA agents with beagles trained in both scent detection and CAPTCHA solving. Elon, for his part, says this is just the first paw step toward a future where dogs don't just fetch, they govern. What does this mean for democracy? For privacy? For the rising number of AI pets now enrolling in online civics courses? We don't know. But one thing is certain, when history looks back on this moment, it may not remember the fine print, but it will remember the bark that shook the system. Southwest, hold your data close, your memes closer, and prepare yourself for whatever comes next in this barking new world. As the Supreme Court prepares to issue its verdict, the nation waits with bated breath and chewed-up slippers. Will this be the beginning of a new techno-utopia guided by meme-based governance? Or the tail-wagging harbinger of democratic collapse? Regardless of the outcome, one thing is clear: American politics has entered a new, furrier phase. One in which the line between satire and policy is not just blurred, it's been shredded, buried in the backyard, and dug up by a digital dog with clearance-level alpha paws. Whether we laugh, cry, or invest in squeaky bonds, we must all ask ourselves, if Doge gets access to our social security data, what's next? Smart collars for Congress. Legislative sessions conducted via Zoom calls with barking filters. Or perhaps, finally, the answer to America's bureaucratic woes really does lie in the eyes of a meme dog who simply wants to help, and maybe chase a few squirrels along the way. The future is barking. And it's knocking at the door of democracy.